Welcome to Let's Talk Cars Radio, your automotive specialist. Be a part of the program today by calling 757-222-3705. That's 757-222-3705. Email your questions and comments to Dave at letstalkcarsradio.com. Now, here is the host of Let's Talk Cars Radio, Dave Palach.
Happy Saturday, America. You're listening to Let's Talk Cars Radio on WKQA Freedom 1110. I am your host, Dave Palach. Thank you for tuning into the show. Thank you very much for tuning in to Facebook Live. We appreciate it. The viewership keeps on going up and up. It's awesome. So I hope everybody had a great Christmas. A lot of different crazy things going out there. Sales everywhere. Hey, now's the time. It's not too late. If you guys are looking for a new car, I hear they're giving all kinds of sales on cars right this second because they're trying to get their numbers up before the end of the year. So it's been kind of crazy and stuff. So I have a story for you guys. It is going to be an interesting one. So Larry, how was your Christmas?
It was pretty nice. I have to admit, I watched A Christmas Story again.
Did you enjoy it again?
Yeah, I think I saw it 2 or 3 times. It was on, was it TBS?
I must have watched it 5. If you guys haven't heard me say I like Christmas Story and I like National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, I watch them every year. So I think I got like 5 or 6 runs of each of them in. So I'm good until another year.
The usual seasonal overdose.
Yeah, exactly. So tons of goodies, cookies everywhere. Christmas was completely insane at our house. I heard it was at a lot of people others' houses too. So here is the Christmas story. So as I always tell you guys, life seems to dictate this show for me, and a lot of times my life and this show tend to cross in the weirdest ways. So over the last year, we've been talking about drones and how things are changing with drones, and now they're talking about moving people with drones as well. If you guys haven't been paying attention, this is a big, huge thing. There's a lot of different companies that are actually looking into this. What they want to do is they actually want to take basically drone technology and just you push a button on your app on your phone, it will come to your house, it will pick you up and fly you where you want to go. Now we're talking about a couple of years probably before this technology really starts taking off hugely, but there's a lot of companies that are very, very invested in it. So how does that equate to what we're talking about with how my life tends to intertwine with that, I guess you could say? Well, we decided as a family gift to buy a drone this year for the family. So it seems simple enough, right?
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, you'd think so. So not on its maiden voyage, but on its second voyage, they decided to go ahead and launch the drone and see what it's capable of. Now, keep in mind, this isn't just a simple little toy drone. This one actually has the return to home feature. So a lot of people are trying to figure out what had happened in the events. So we actually launched the drone and sent the drone on its first voyage to go, check things out and stuff like that. Now, I instructed the kids. I didn't want them flying it in the neighborhood because we just got a lot of trees and there's a lot of different things. Well, they kind of followed my instructions, but kind of didn't. So the drone has a return home feature. You hit a button and the drone will return back to its home address that it's registered at. So the kids decided they were flying it in the open away from trees. They hit the home feature, which brings it, they had to come back to the house and come up over the trees. Well, something happened in its voyage that a malfunction happened and the drone decided to try to land itself immediately. Well, it landed itself in a tree. So simple enough, right?
Yeah.
So far. Well, this tree that got landed in has a set of neighbors who just don't want to be bothered, apparently. They don't want to be neighborly. They don't want to help out. The only way to retrieve the drone is to get it into their backyard to try to help catch the drone. The tree is actually in somebody else's yard, but the tree goes straight up and then branches over this house. So the only way to try to retrieve this drone without breaking it is to be in these people's backyard who want no part of that at all, apparently. So we tried to peacefully resolve it by having the police come out and try to assist with, hey, they'll be on scene when we go out to try to get the drone. That way you don't have to worry about anybody stealing your precious items in your backyard. And, well, that hasn't seemed to work. They didn't answer the door for the police when the police knocked, even though they were clearly there when we knocked on the door too and wouldn't answer the door. And then the war began because I posted, hey, does anybody know this family on Facebook? And then the story started to come that they're very unneighborly. And they're not easy people to work with. So it's kind of spun out of control just a little bit. Needless to say, the Grinch that stole Christmas, the drone is still inside your tree. So that's where we're at with that.
That's just what I call plain old unreasonable.
Unneighborly.
Yeah.
I mean, just no reason. So their claim to fame is, well, a bunch of kids came and knocked on my door and they were aggressive. And, well, kids get anxious. Their brand new toy is up there in a tree. They're knocking on a door where they can clearly see somebody in your front window and you won't come to the door. They assume that nobody can hear them knocking. So do they knock a little harder? I'm sure they probably did, because I know how kids are. I'm not going to, that's just would be the normal thing to do. Well, I can see you in the door. I'm knocking. You're not answering. Maybe you can't hear me because your TV's blaring so loud. But, so that was their claim to fame. There was a group of kids banging on their door and they didn't feel comfortable answering. Well, you didn't answer when the police came to your door either. So I'm not sure why you didn't feel comfortable there. But that's the reason why I'm the one with the mic and you're the one on that side of the camera. So that is our story.
Well, I hope you get it. I hope you get it back before New Year's.
Hopefully, because it's probably going to rain. Once it rains on it, the drone's going to be ruined. But it brings up an interesting story. So if we're going to start flying people around in drone, what the crazy thing is, and I don't want to get too into it because, you know what, I think these people probably have heard enough. There's been a lot of messages that have not been in their favor. But their thing is it's in my tree, it's my drone now. That was the childish telephone call I had when I left my telephone number for them to call me, because that's the adult thing to do.
Yeah. You took the words out of my mouth there. It's very childish.
Yeah, very
that
childish.
That remark was, it's in my tree, it's mine now. That's childish.
So, I'm normally a pretty calm person. I've managed to stay pretty calm during this. If these were the old days, they probably would have had a completely different outcome. Just saying. Know your people that you live around.
Shoot some Nerf balls at it, and maybe if you do it,
right,
you can hit it and knock it loose.
Well, that Nerf ball might damage the house or the gutters or every other stupid excuse that I've heard come out of people's mouths.
Only if you freeze them first.
Yeah, exactly. So my thing is let's just say we start moving people in drones like they plan on and they want to, right? What happens when the drone crashes in your backyard with people in it? And you go, well, they're my people now. They crashed in my backyard. Interesting take on things when you really put it in that perspective. Or one of the messages I saw that was sent was, so if I accidentally leave my car in neutral and it rolls out of my driveway and ends up in your front yard, does that mean you claim my car?
That mindset, yes.
In that mindset, that would work. That means then, a car flips, has an accident in front of your house, lands in your bushes. It's become your car now? I mean, your thought process on this is completely whacked. And I'm here to tell you, it is. So, that's my rant for the day.
Let's hope nobody ever wrecks and then the person unfortunately gets really hurt and they're thrown into the front yard and nobody can help them.
Well, it's their person now. It's in their yard. It's their person now. It's in my yard. It's my person now.
No ambulance for you.
Hope they heal well so they can do my dishes. I mean, oh, Lordy people. So, I'm going to move on because that's just what I do best. And so, this week, what we have is I actually decided to go ahead and pull all the stories for the year and run through all the stories, not all of them, but just some of them month by month, and take you back through the year to see where we started and where we are now. I thought it'd be kind of a good idea. So you can hang with me. I see the smile on your face. You like that idea, do you?
Yeah, I do.
So do you guys remember, just seems like yesterday, that we were talking in January about the new Bronco coming out?
Yep.
Well, it went from a great idea to people aren't too happy because now it's just they're talking about being basically like a Ford Explorer that's been just kind of hyped up a little bit. But the actual real drawings that we were shown in January, if you remember, was actually a really cool looking vehicle. Mm-hmm. Now we are a year later and no one's really sure what we're going to end up getting.
And still no Bronco.
Yeah, and still no Bronco. So that was one of the stories. One of the biggest stories in January was the release of the new Dodge Demon. If you remember, over time, story after story would come out about, what it was going to come with, the horsepower, the wide body kit, was it going to have removable parts and all that kind of stuff. So that story actually broke in January. We talked about it quite a bit. It was one of the biggest stories for this year, actually, was the Dodge Demon for us. So I thought, do you guys remember the story about the guy that moved the ambulance to get a better parking spot?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We never got to find out exactly what happened to that guy. I'm sure that probably didn't work out for him very well.
I can't imagine he didn't find a ticket.
But we had it on one of those I can't believe this story's true segments we did. And if you didn't catch that story in January, basically a guy wanted a good parking spot that was blocked by an ambulance when he got to the hospital. He stopped his car, jumped out, moved the ambulance, and then took the parking spot. So some people have stones. This week that actually applies. So, yeah, I tell you what, man, as I sat here and I went through a lot of the different stories throughout the course of the year, it amazes me just how quick a year goes by and how many different stories we covered. I went ahead and went backtracking through everything just to kind of see, just to try to remember what happened throughout the course of the year. And this little packet that I brought with me is not even a quarter of the stories that we covered in a year.
Just a smattering, huh?
Yeah, just little glips and stuff like that. Like one of the things, you guys remember when we first started talking about the Kia Stinger? That was actually in January when we started talking about the Kia Stinger.
It just doesn't seem that long.
It was. That was the very first story that we actually talked about. If you guys haven't been following along, the Kia Stinger is now posed to be one of the coolest sports sedans that actually are going to hit the market, especially the Stinger GT, which comes with a body kit on it, and it's already lower to the ground. It already comes with a set of wheels on it. This car is rear-wheel drive, which is just kind of has faded away in the rear-wheel drive sedans. You don't see a whole lot of them. And the commercial that they're playing for this vehicle has it drifting around tracks and people doing crazy things in it. So they're actually really hyping this thing up. But yeah, I mean, we've heard about it in January. Here we are now in December at the end of the year, and the car has its own commercial. It's been playing pretty regularly. So just goes to show you, man, time absolutely 100% flies. And I did. You can see I went and I printed all these different little stories out because I just thought it was interesting of all the little things that were out there. If you guys remember, we talked about the 50th anniversary Super Snake Mustang that came out in January. Mm-hmm. It was to have 750 horsepower. That was one of the things. Toyota talked about $600 million they were going to invest in the Indiana plant for 400 new jobs.
Yeah.
So I remember
that.
Yeah, all that stuff was January. It came out. It's kind of funny because as I went through it, a lot of the stories that actually had changed. One of the biggest things we talked about last year was autonomous vehicle technology and how it changed. That's autonomous vehicle, anonymous vehicle, self-driving vehicles, vehicles that drive themselves, driverless vehicles that don't have bodies. Did I get it all?
I think so.
I'm going to make sure. If not, somebody will call and let us know like you always do. It's not called that. Yes, it is, because I said so.
Need to pick a name and stick to it.
Nobody's ever going to do that because everybody wants to have like their own coined phrase for it. Every manufacturer calls it something else. They just do. Every manufacturer has their own idea. Hey, let's talk about ideas because I like to get off track because it happens quite a bit. So we came up with this great idea. You ever notice when you go at Christmas, if you have to go to like a relative's house, you're trying to pack gifts in the car, and then you're trying to get everybody in the car, or you pack the car up with gifts, and then you realize you didn't leave enough seats for all the bodies you had to put in the car as well, and then you have to repack it to try to figure out. That ever happened to you?
Been there and done that.
Okay. How about this for an idea? The Christmas trailer. It's just a little trailer that it pops up and attaches to your car to allow you to put all the gifts inside the car and the kids as well.
Neat idea. What do you do with it when you're not using it?
You fold it up and put it in the garage. It'd be like a fold-up trailer, just a temporary fold-up trailer.
I think that's pretty neat. You could have a license tag on it.
I don't think you should have to. I think it should be like that little green thing that you put out when you're doing like demolition they sell you. You know what I'm talking about? The little unfoldable. It should be something like that.
No, I think that'd be a great idea.
It would be because you
could use it for more than just Christmas.
Well, it should be the Christmas idea, though. You sell it underneath the Christmas principle. And here's the reason why. So Don and I got talking about this. Not only do you forget about when you're trying to pack the gifts and get everybody in the car, if you go to like the grandparents' house and you got a bunch of kids and stuff like that, you forget about all the crap you got to bring back with you.
That is true.
Sometimes it's more than what you took.
That's happened to me.
Yeah, it's happened to me too.
I actually had to go buy one of those things you put on top of the roof of the car.
Did you really?
So that was the only way to get all the
everything
stuff
back.
Yeah.
Were you guys out of town or something?
Yeah, we were up in Pennsylvania, and I'm not happy about it.
I bet you weren't. You had to spend like $200 on a roof rack to bring back $150 in presents.
Yeah, I used it once. I used it one time.
I bet you did. I can see that happen to you. That's actually a story of something that would happen to you.
It did.
But I was laughing about it because I started thinking about it that as we were talking about it and discussing it, it's right. You get all these gifts and you're trying to move everybody around from house to house. But what you totally forget about is you don't know what they got you.
Yeah.
So just because everything fit in the car that you took doesn't mean everything's going to fit in the car on the way back.
And depending on the makeup of your family, it could be on a lot bigger volume.
Very could be. It just goes to show you, man. You just don't, especially if you're one of those people that you buy like a gift or two for your family, but then they buy like for everybody individual. So now it's even more gifts than what you thought.
Indeed.
So, yeah.
Adds up.
See, I went off track. We covered January. Let it be. Hey, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to try to get through the rest of these months without getting off track. We'll talk to you soon.
You're listening to Let's Talk Cars Radio with Dave Palach here on Freedom 1110 WKQA.
Your vehicle has let you down and you need to get it moved pronto. Who do you call? Quality Towing and Recovery in Portsmouth. Whether it's a breakdown or auto accident, Quality Towing and Recovery will be there quickly to solve your problem and with courteous service and reasonable rates. When you're stuck, don't worry about it. Call Quality Towing and Recovery in Portsmouth, 237-5050. That's Quality Towing and Recovery, 237-5050.
When did your light bulb go off? We're talking about that idea you have for a new product or app. Listen, if you want to make your idea a priority, but you don't know how to get it off the ground, you call Davison, the one company with over 25 years experience and exclusive process that turns ideas into products and apps that are found in retail stores and online. Our team has helped tens of thousands of people, just like you. Call now and ask for our free idea starter guide. We'll show you how to securely get started and protect your idea. Whether you have a patent or not, our process will get your idea ready to get in front of a corporation. Don't let your light bulb of an idea go out. Call Davison now for your free idea starter guide. Davison charges fees for services. 800-213-6960. 800-213-6960. 800-213-6960. Again, that's 800-213-6960.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Cars Radio, your automotive specialist. Call into the program now at 757-222-3705. Now, here is Dave Palach.
Welcome back, America. You're listening to Let's Talk Cars Radio on WKQA Freedom 1110. I am your host, Dave Palach, hanging out with my buddy Rockin' Larry Cobb, and of course, Cameron's doing all the technical work for us. So, if you were with us before the break, we were trying to recap all the different months and all the different stuff. It seems like it just went by so fast. It really did. This year went by fast to me.
It's because you're getting older. Each and every year gets faster and faster.
Don't say that. I was hoping it was because it was a great year, not because I was getting older. Hey, with it being New Year's right around the corner, do you guys remember in February when we talked about the release of the Tosquito breathalyzer bag? Mm-hmm. So maybe they'll bring that out for, I haven't seen it. I looked just to see if I saw it.
Bring it out for New Year's?
Yeah, for New Year's Eve. Well, you would think it'd already be out there since New Year's Eve is tomorrow. So yeah. You think it'd be already out there. But this would be a good time to use it. But yeah, I thought it was a pretty cool little invention. If you guys didn't catch that, it was a Tosquito's chip bag that actually served as a breathalyzer too that would tell you if you're too intoxicated to drive. I thought that was kind of a neat idea. I think all the bags should have.
And if it told you were, do you still do it?
Well, I hope not. But
I think it's wrong. I'm okay.
Why don't you put a breathalyzer on the side of every beer bottle? That'd be kind of cool.
Less beer?
If you breathe like on the label would change color or something.
It would have to be something easy because the average guy probably wouldn't even bother.
Well, yeah, it'd probably have to be so, yeah. Oh, what does that say about us? That has to be really easy for us to be involved. Hey, can you guys believe that in February, if you guys remember, Magnum PI's Ferrari sold for $181,000? Mm-hmm. That's a lot of money I like nostalgia cars. Don't get me wrong. Things that come from the movie and stuff like that I think are cool. I still want a General Lee. I'm going to own one day. It's just going to happen. I say it all the time. I'm going to buy one day.
I believe it.
But I don't think I could pay $181,000 for a Ferrari just because Magnum PI drove it.
Somebody wanted it really bad.
Really, really bad. One of the biggest stories that we covered in February was the muscle car wars and how they were ramping back up and how they were getting crazy and out of control.
Remember?
Still are. I mean, that hasn't ended. Every time I turn around, there's something new coming out and stuff like that.
And it's not likely to end.
No, it wasn't. You guys remember robotic speed bumps?
Yep.
That was one of the things in February we talked about. If you guys didn't catch that, the idea is, and they're actually still working on this, is robotic speed bumps. Basically what they are is they have a sensor on it, and they can sense how fast the car is coming, and they adjust and lower and heighten the speed bump based upon the speed of the car coming down the road.
Neat idea, I think.
I think it is. I think it could be a tragic idea. What if the guy's going like 90 and it's like burp?
Yeah. Turns into a wall.
Yeah, you're right. Exactly. I mean, I think there's some things that need to be worked on with that, but it is kind of a cool idea. As you guys know, we talked about it in February. The Super Bowl commercials were a complete miss. All of us agreed that the commercials just weren't on par like they normally are for every Super Bowl. Hopefully that will change again.
I don't know what's going to happen coming up with this one. There's been so much press about the antics of the teams and what's going to happen this Super Bowl.
I hope nobody attends.
I had already heard that some of the former big spending advertisers were not going to be there. I think Frito-Lay was one of them.
Well, we're going to see what's going to happen. It ought to be interesting. I'm waiting to see how that all pans out. If you guys remember, we talked about in February, one of the new cool gadgets they were working on was all the sensors and cameras on the new police cars. They actually had sensors on all the way around the car that would alert the police officer if somebody was walking up on the car when he was doing paperwork. So that way he would know somebody was near him. Mm-hmm. Thought that was one of the cool ideas. And if you guys remember that actually came right after there was a death of a police officer who was actually distracted in his vehicle, and they were actually able to walk up on him, and unfortunately it cost him his life. So
True.
One of the things that somebody had invented was putting sensors and stuff in the car that actually had cameras and stuff like that that would sense any motion around the vehicle while he was sitting parked and idled.
Good idea.
Yeah, so I thought that was one of the cool different ideas. The other thing was the station wagon wars. We talked about that and the fact the station wagons were coming back, and they still are. Buick had a really cool station wagon that was coming out, and a couple other companies were following suit. You know, it's kind of funny. You guys talk about it. You know, we talk about Tesla all the time, and God, we know they came up in the news. If you take a look at this so many different times throughout the course of the year. But there was actually a rumor going around about Tesla actually making a station wagon. And now there's actually independent companies that are making Tesla station wagons. They're taking Teslas and cutting them and actually making station wagons out of them. So I think it's called the Starlight or something like that. I can't remember right off the top of the head what it is, but it is a company that's actually making them. And there's a company now making Tesla limos.
Hadn't heard about the limos.
Yep. That's the two big things that have been coming up lately. So I've been following it. There hasn't been enough new news on it, I guess, to really talk about. But I follow the story because every couple of weeks something new pops up about it. When I get enough information, we'll talk about it a little bit. So that was your February. Hey, we're moving into March. Look, March. We got March. So in March, it was the invention of auto steering. We'd had a kind of a poll, and we talked about it in March about the auto steering program. Now, if anybody doesn't know what that is, we've heard of auto braking. Pretty much most cars nowadays that are the newer models are having auto braking, where it has a sensor in the front of the car, and it thinks you're getting too close, it'll auto brake. Now they have the thing that they've been working on called auto steering, which is accident avoidance. So if you're actually coming in and they think they're going to hit a car, it can actually detect if there's no car in the other lane and move the car over the other lane for you to keep you from having a wreck.
And it just does that, takes control away from you.
Takes control, correct. Now, we talked about it, and if I remember correctly, you weren't for it, and I kind of was for it.
Curtis was not for it.
Curtis wasn't for it either. Well, he's not for any of that stuff. So I'm still think that look, I got no problem with it. If it's going to keep me from smashing up my car, so be it. I mean, especially if I'm so distracted I don't realize I need to switch lanes. Something's definitely going on inside my car. But that was one of the things we talked about, too, this year was, you know, one of the biggest things that people liked about autonomous vehicles was getting an opportunity to be distracted in their car. That was their number one reason for wanting to have it.
That's a good reason.
I don't know.
Hey, there have been times when I would like to be distracted, but I can't.
Yeah, but, you know, what was it? I want to say it had to be March or April where we had the picture of the guys. They were driving the autonomous vehicle underneath the full app, and they were playing like chess or something going down the road as the car was driving itself. So, I mean, it just tells you how the technology has changed. As far as auto cars, if you guys remember in February, March, and into April, we talked about the robo racers. Mm-hmm. And how they're actually trying to make that a sport. And if you don't remember what Robo Racer was, basically think about IndyCar racing with no driver. The car is completely autonomous, and it makes all the decisions and drives for itself. And the more technology and the more knowledge the car has, the better decisions it can make, and it can correct its lap time every time.
Then you have an app where you can go from car to car to car and see the cockpit view.
Right. There you go. Yeah.
Split screen, 2 cars.
I'm telling you, the technology is absolutely amazing. So here's one of the strangest ones that actually came out in March. Do you guys remember the story about Pornhub?
That sounds familiar. Yeah, I remember the subject. I can't remember what the story was.
They're an adult site that decided the best way to advertise was to put their advertisement on every single snowplow that was out there in the Portland area, which we thought it was strange. And they had some really weird taglines that went around it that I didn't get into last time, and I won't get around it now, but you can only imagine when you put those two together, all the different weird things you can come up with for advertising.
I'm sure it drove some people to their site.
It definitely did. I'm sure it worked. So also in March, we talked about Hyper One was moving forward with this test train in the Nevada desert. As we talked about, what was it, last week or the week before that? They're actually up to, 274 miles an hour, I think, now with the test train. So that was actually in March. It seems like that was yesterday when we were talking about that. Also, if you guys don't remember, the PARC, and I had to look down to actually remember that one, was the Portland company that was fixing potholes on their their own. Remember, they were vigilantes,
Yeah.
and they were going and fixing their own potholes, and the city was trying to get them to stop fixing potholes. I thought that was still kind of cool. By the way, they are still up to that from what I heard last time I looked in on it. They go and just randomly fix potholes as vigilantes because the city refuses to fix the potholes in the city.
Why would the city care if somebody else was willing to take
they say
care
it
of
makes them liable and they could do it wrong and somebody could get hurt. Well, what's worse, falling into a pothole?
Yeah. What's the code for a pothole? I mean, for the repair.
I have no idea. Stranger things have happened. So, moving into April, we had GM hiring 1,100 people and start gearing up for a new autonomous program. So they actually were revamping one of their places and actually hiring a bunch of people to try to get with the times as far as autonomous vehicles. Mm-hmm. Right there, I think we've announced like over 2,000 jobs just by April that companies that actually, got involved with. Kind of cool. There wasn't a lot of stuff in April. I was going through April and there wasn't really a whole lot of things. But y'all remember the 8-year-old boy that drove himself to McDonald's? Mm-hmm. That was in April. And the new craze that kept on popping up of people that get caught cheating and they were putting cement in the cheaters' cars. Remember that?
Yep.
That was in April. That was like a whole craze in April. If y'all didn't catch that, there was videos all over the place. Every time somebody got caught cheating, they were filling their car with cement. I don't know what started. I think one person saw it on YouTube or something and thought it was a great idea to keep on doing it. So, also in April was the creation, or I wouldn't maybe say the creation, but the first time we started hearing about cell phone jammers in cars.
Mm-hmm. I remember that subject. I can remember all these so far. I just don't remember
when
it was.
Yeah, that was phone cell jammers. And actually, there's one car manufacturer that's really getting into that real heavily. They haven't talked about much about it recently, but I'm looking to see who's going to jump on that. It also was released of the Exorcist Camaro that was going to pump out 959 horsepower to the wheels. And they called it the Exorcist because the Dodge was called the Demon. So I thought it was actually pretty creative wordplay. So that was actually in April. Moving on into May, if you guys were following along with us in May, we actually had that people are actually changing the crash test dummies. If you remember, they decided to take all the crash test dummies and actually start making them shaped like normal people. So if you had a heavyset person or you had a thinner person or if you had the height, they're trying to start really getting into making sure that all that stuff was really on par versus what people are actually shaped like so they could truly see what the damage would be to somebody.
We had a lot of fun with that topic. I remember
Yeah,
that.
we did. Oh, we also, if you guys remember, we learned what the Boring Company was. It wasn't only boring to talk about, but it was the Boring Company, if you remember. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, the Boring Company is the company that is actually spearheaded by Elon Musk, which is actually Tesla as well, who has the idea that he wants to bore underneath cities using this very large machine, and he wants to actually create tunnels where cars can drive and slide onto like a platform that then shoots itself into the tunnel and drives you through the tunnel to where you want to go. It's funny because you all can't see, but I can see as I look at Larry's face. He just starts shaking his head.
Infrastructure that's required for some of these projects is going to be massive. You know that.
They are. As we talked about before in the top of the hour, the average American was willing to spend $4,000 extra on autonomous features, not even knowing what they would and how they would improve their driving.
That lets you know that we're all probably got a certain amount of laziness in us.
Last but not least, as we rounded out in May, it basically was people talking about, when we talked about this just a couple weeks ago, the China car companies trying to bring the cars into the country and how it was a big push, and they were really trying to work with the government to come to an agreement to bring the cars here. That started in May.
Time does fly.
It does. You know how much it flies? It's time for a commercial break. We'll talk to you soon.
You're listening to Let's Talk Cars Radio with Dave Palach here on Freedom 1110 WKQA.
Your vehicle has let you down and you need to get it moved pronto. Who do you call? Quality Towing and Recovery in Portsmouth. Whether it's a breakdown or auto accident, Quality Towing and Recovery will be there quickly to solve your problem and with courteous service and reasonable rates. When you're stuck, don't worry about it. Call Quality Towing and Recovery in Portsmouth, 237-5050. That's Quality Towing and Recovery, 237-5050.
IVC Filter Hotline is a marketing firm that represents lawyers jointly advertising their services. By calling, you agree to receive calls by legal service providers. This is an important medical announcement. IVC filters have been linked to punctured veins and problems with migration. Anyone who has received an IVC filter must receive medical monitoring and may be entitled to substantial compensation. Call now for a free assessment of your case. Call 800-528-6859. 800-528-6859. Juries have awarded millions of dollars to people who should have been warned about the risks of IVC filters. Call the IVC Filter Hotline if you or a loved one has received an IVC filter and experienced a vein puncture or required medical monitoring. You must call now. Call 800-528-6859. 800-528-6859. 800-528-6859.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Cars Radio, your automotive specialist. Call into the program now at 757-222-3705. Now, here is Dave Palach.
Welcome back, America. You're listening to Let's Talk Cars Radio on WKQA Freedom 1110. I'm your host, Dave Palach, and you are hanging out with me and Rockin' Larry Cobb. And, of course, Cameron's doing all our technical work. If you did not join us at the top of the hour, we were recapping the year and all the different little stories that we had. So I've kind of been running through them. Do you guys remember in May, we were actually talking about all the actual prices and money that was going to be spent on some of the new muscle car wars? Mm-hmm. So if you remember, the Chevy Camaro was right around about $70,000 at 650 horsepower. The Demon was right around $80,000 at 840. The Hellcat was $52,000 at 707. The Mustang GT 500 was $65,000 at 662. So, and then of course you have some of the crazy ones with some of the vets and stuff that have been done, or some of the there's a Mustang out there now with 1,000 horsepower that you can buy from that Ohio company we talked about, if you remember. So there's been a lot of different ones. Also, north of Reno is when they raised the mile per hour to 80 miles per hour speed zone.
I'd like to drive that legally.
I could tell you, if you all remember, that April, May, for me is when my stepdad died and I disappeared to Vegas. So, wow. And then the road trip coming back, I can tell you the average speed on most people coming through a lot of those long roads was, I told you,
180.
Yeah, no, it was 90. It was 90 plus. It really was. It was 90 plus. One of the things we saw in May was GTA they were using GTA, if you don't know what that is, Grand Theft Auto, to teach the AI cars how to drive. I still don't understand how that one works. I just don't.
I don't either.
How do you use the video game Grand Theft Auto to teach AIs to drive? But they were doing it. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Moving on to June. If you all remember in June about the couple who stole the Hearst as a getaway vehicle. Oh, they were dying to get out of there. I couldn't resist. I could not resist. May and June were actually the months where they were starting to dump automotive executives. You remember they were firing people left and right in a bunch of different automotive worlds. I don't know what that month had to do with it, but it seemed like everybody was on the same boat.
That was just the time for it to happen.
It was. We had a lot of different videos sent to us that popped up in June. We went over a lot of different ones. I'm kind of just taking a look at all the different stories. It's crazy as I sit here and I turn through the pages and pages and pages. If you guys remember, there was a shootout between the two bounty hunters and the fugitives, and they left everybody dead in the middle of the Nissan dealership. Remember that?
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of the videos that were sent to us. It was crazy. One of the other things was when the deadliest 100 days of the year was actually in June, and that was for teen drivers. I think that's because everybody decided to get out of school and more.
The deadliest 100 days of the year.
Yep.
There's only 30 days in June.
Year.
Oh.
It was through the summer. That was just given to you in June, in the month of June. But it was released in June that it was going to be the next deadliest 100 days on the road for teen drivers.
I'm just trying to be difficult.
It's okay. You can be difficult all you want. You see how I survived that one. We also went in July, and in July we went into different segments and stuff where we talked about people with all the different conveyor belt HOV lanes, all the flying cars, Uber and their solar roads. What was it? The self-healing roads, drone police, charging roads, glowing roads, all this different technology that we talked about that were coming out that hit all the media in July. I still think some of those are good ideas. I don't know about the belt-driven conveyor belt HOV lanes. I think that's one of the worst ones I heard last year.
Too many moving parts.
Way too many. You know that's going to break down all the time. You just know it is. But as far as flying cars, that's something you're not going to get away from. It's coming. I mean, the more and more people that are putting money into it, like I said before, when you see large companies that are very popular companies that have endless money start dumping money into ideas like that, you know it's coming. These people don't make bad decisions with their money. They just don't.
When the time comes that I can call a drone to come pick me up, take me where I want to go, and bring me back home, that's when it's goodbye car. I'll no longer own one.
We talked about what people think C5 Corvettes should be worth. In July, it was one of the big things. People were selling off Corvettes knowing that the new Corvettes were coming. Still, I don't think anybody's really overly excited about some of the new Corvettes that are coming out. I think everybody was excited to see what was coming, but now that it's been told, the excitement has seemed just to go away, completely go away.
Interest waned quickly.
Yes, it really, really did. We moved into August. In August, we saw the Bluetooth being more common with less privacy in cars. They were talking about that. If you're using Bluetooth technology, that they could take control of the cars and get into it. We also saw that Lyft and Taco Bell teamed up for Taco Mode. You remember that?
No, I don't remember that one.
Lyft and Taco Bell had actually teamed up for Taco Mode, where you could hit Taco Mode and a Lyft driver would come and pick you up and take you right to Taco Bell.
What month was that?
That was in August.
Oh, man.
You missed that one,
You were still gone, weren't you?
I was.
Yeah,
I didn't get back until about middle of August.
That's probably why.
Yeah, you missed Taco Mode.
I just don't recall it. But it's a neat idea.
OJ's Escape vehicle actually went up for sale in August, if you remember. It was big hype about that.
I remember that. The Bronco.
It was. One of the Sky monorails was one of the new designs that people were talking about in August, where they wanted to do the monorail up in the sky in between all the traffic lanes.
I think that magnetic levitation type sky monorail would be neat, but you don't see much being done about it.
No, I think the biggest focus is going to be on the new tube technology. I just think that's going to be Hyperloop and all that. I think that's just going to be where it is. For the fact that they believe, and I don't disbelieve it, by the way, that they think they can get the train up to 700 miles an hour safely to transport people on the ground using a tube, basically the same way the bank teller sends a tube back and forth to you, is almost kind of, it's not exactly the same, but it's the same concept. I really believe that that's going to be the next big thing.
I could see that providing some serious competition to air travel.
Oh, absolutely. Especially if you keep the price down, because you don't have the jet fuel.
Not only that, you're going to get to your destination quicker than you would if you had to go fly, and you've got all the hassle of flying with security and now.
It's one of those things very, very big. One of the things in August that we talked about was the car manufacturers are actually looking at doing base model cars. We talked about this a couple of different times throughout the course of the year. Muscle cars got to the point where people just can't afford them. We've talked about it. And the average guy who has a family of, say, of 2 or 3 kids just really can't afford to go out and have a hot rod and have a family car at the same time. So one of the ideas was take the base model of that car, keeping all the horsepower intact, get rid of all the goodies like the power windows, the power locks, get all the stupid technology, the in-screen dash stuff, the power seats, just dump all that stuff and make a base model car and let him build it as he has the money to do so. So that was one of the big, huge pushes they talked about in August. Now, here we are in December. Haven't heard a whole lot more if they're actually going to do it, but I am 100% behind the idea. You guys heard me say it 1,000 times. I think it's one of the best ideas. I made you guys ponder in August about Pontiac in the back. They both made different cars that people just didn't know, and that a 429 Boss and a Pontiac Firebird were one of the 2 biggest things that people wanted at the time, and they actually did some business together at one time. So we talked about that in August. See, I got tons of stuff, man.
Didn't know the Firebird was that popular.
Yeah, the Firebird was it was a street beast. The 455, was just a nasty, nasty car. The problem with it is they choked it out, so you had to take it home and tinker with it and unchoke the motor to make it actually be a really sick and fast car. But there's a bunch of different things that went in that. Oh, in August, we got some readers' letters. A lot of people were asking us about Dodge trucks, and we went ahead and told them it was their fault for driving Dodges.
They asked you, and you told them.
I did. I'm sorry, Dodge folks. I know you all listen, and I love the fact that you guys listen and tune in. I can't help but give you a hard time. Chevy. We talked about all the new things with the Demon throughout the course of the year. There was more information that came out on the Demon in August. Also, the production of the Viper was coming to an end. Not that anybody really cares, but hey, it was.
I do like the way those cars look.
I do too. I just think that they got a really, it was, first of all, they were expensive. And then second of all, when the prices actually started coming down on them, they just kind of had a bad lingering name about it. There was a lot of different things that went on with that car that people didn't really want to own. Now, you can buy a Viper for like $25,000 now. I may have some miles on it and stuff, but
Did you ever drive one?
I did drive a Viper. I was not impressed.
Oh, you didn't like it?
I didn't like it. I have, knock on wood, I've been one of those guys, been very fortunate to drive a lot of different cars in my lifetime, mostly muscle cars and a lot of exotics and stuff like that. I've been very fortunate behind the wheel. And there's a lot of cars that people love that I don't like. I mean, you'd be very surprised. I was not a Countach fan. I drove a Countach. I thought Countach was like one of the coolest cars back then. And then I got to drive one, and it is a brick. I mean, it's just a solid brick on wheels. That car does not handle. It is like driving a UPS truck that's really fast. That's what it's like driving. And I would have never imagined that by the way the car looks. But
that could be dangerous.
It's a handful to drive one. It really is.
Especially if it doesn't handle well.
Yeah. If you guys remember that in August, Uber and Lyft were entertaining having mini bars available inside their cars, which I still haven't figured out. I wouldn't want a little mini bar resting in my personal vehicle just because I'm a Lyft or an Uber driver.
Passengers only.
Tesla was in the news all year long. As we moved into September, we talked about all the different stories on Tesla. I tell you what, as I've said, it's very hard to be on top because they get beat and bashed and you name it over and over and over again. But that's what it is when you're on top. I mean, if you're good at something, somebody's going to give you a hard time, I guess.
Yeah, the top dog is the one that gets shot at.
China is really shooting after Tesla. They want because they have the electric car technology as well, and they really want to give them a run for their money. The problem with it is they're not here in the United States yet. So it's hard to give somebody a run for their money when you're not here in the States.
And I mean, I hate to phrase it this way, but what kind of quality are you going to expect from Chinese cars? Is it going to be like Chinese drywall?
It could very well be. As we moved into September, we also talked about all the different police situations and how it was getting kind of crazy out there in the streets, and people were scared to be pulled over by the police. If you remember, we went through the whole Black Lives Matter and Blue Lives Matter moment all through those months. It got kind of out of control. We touched on it and hoped that it would work itself out and everybody would get along. September was a pretty crazy time. There was a lot of different things going on. A lot of different people had a lot of different views. Driverless shuttle actually started in Motor City and actually was put out in Las Vegas, if you remember. And they were doing driving with the shuttle in Vegas. It actually got its first accident too. We talked about. Remember?
Yeah.
So maybe they got out there too quickly. The Texas woman that slipped out of her cuffs and took the SUV police vehicle for a joyride. We talked about that in September. And actually, there's video of that. If you guys never went and checked it out, go check it out. So September was a pretty crazy month. I kind of I went through and I looked at all the different things, and it's funny because it's just all the different things, you forget how quick time goes by. And for me, looking at a lot of these stories that we shared with you guys throughout the year was kind of just an eye-opener. You just don't realize, just like I said at the top of the hour, was all the different news that we go through in the course of a year. There were so many stories that are out there that we touch on. We talked about electric paint and the fact that the cars can actually change colors. They're working on technology. They have little microchips now in the paint that you can use your cell phone and change the color of the car.
Remember the topic well.
Yeah, I still think that's a good one. I mean, for the guy that wants to change the color of his car over and over and over again, you just swipe your finger and change the color of your car.
That hasn't happened yet, though, has it?
It hasn't. I've seen it on so I saw it sprayed on the hood and fenders of a car, and I saw a complete motorcycle with this paint on it, and then they showed it. But I have not seen a full car yet that's been done. I'm sure it's coming, but I think they were in a hurry. You know how people design something, they're in a hurry to show it?
Sure.
I think they wanted to spray it on anything they could real quick just so they could get it out to the media. I would have waited and painted a whole car and probably took it to SEMA and put it on display or something is what I would have done. So that was September. And with that being it, it is time to take another commercial break. You guys hang tight. When we come back, we'll finish off the year. We'll talk to you soon.
You're listening to Let's Talk Cars Radio with Dave Palach here on Freedom 1110 WKQA.
Your vehicle has let you down and you need to get it moved pronto. Who do you call? Quality Towing and Recovery in Portsmouth. Whether it's a breakdown or auto accident, Quality Towing and Recovery will be there quickly to solve your problem and with courteous service and reasonable rates. When you're stuck, don't worry about it. Call Quality Towing and Recovery in Portsmouth, 237-5050. That's Quality Towing and Recovery, 237-5050.
You became a nurse for a lot of reasons. You care about people and you love taking care of them. Being a nurse is who you are. But today, many medical facilities require nursing candidates to have bachelor's degrees. So you're probably going to want to have that degree. But you work. You may have a family. How can you possibly fit getting your bachelor's degree in your already tight schedule? With the online RN to BSN Bridge program at Independence University, our online learning model helps you balance your work, your family, and your desire to move up in your nursing career. Class sizes are small and personal, and we're 100% focused on helping you through the program so you can earn your degree. An IU's Online RN to BSN program is accredited by the Commission on Collegiate Nursing Education. Our goal is to help you achieve your goals. Independence University's online RN to BSN program. Call now.
800-797-1256. 800-797-1256. 800-797-1256. That's 800-797-1256.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Cars Radio, your automotive specialist. Call into the program now at 757-222-3705. Now, here is Dave Palach.
Welcome back, America. You're listening to Let's Talk Cars Radio on WKQA Freedom 1110. Thank you for tuning in. Facebook listeners that have actually been getting on Facebook and watching us live. The viewership goes up every single week. So if you haven't got a chance, do us a favor. Go onto Facebook at Let's Talk Cars Radio. Like us, click on there, comment, do it all. We are there. And like I said, it's been awesome as we started doing that. We haven't been doing it very long. About last 3 months or so, we started really heavily getting into it. And
it was a progression.
It was, and it continues to progress. A lot of people go back and listen to the show later on in the week when they just, they might be at work, they don't have time, whatever. They sit down and then they comment and they send me messages and stuff like that, which produces more stories for us and more things we talk about. So it's been very, very cool. So I thank you very much. So.
Like your attempts to stick the camera on the glass there.
Yeah. Yeah, we tried some things here. I ain't going to lie. We definitely tried some things. So we started with very simple technology, and we had suction cups for the camera, and we tried to stick it on the window because if y'all don't know, we're actually up in the air here at the studio, so we look out over Norfolk. So we actually had the camera stuck to the window, so we were trying to get a view. It was crazy. But we were dialing it in. We bought a bunch of different software, different equipment, and it's been progression, that's for sure.
Yes, indeed.
Speaking of progression, there was a progression in October that Nissan wanted the sweat sensing seats. Remember?
Yep.
It still grosses me out. It's still an ew. It just is an ew. I mean, why would you? I mean, sweat sensing. Hey, if you start to sweat, we'll cool you down. But that means that there has to be the catch tray for the sweat to know. That's just gross. Well, the woman took the $75 ticket to the Supreme Court in Iowa. You remember that? That was actually in October. So, like I said, I kind of went through and I was looking at all the different stories and stuff. October, it seems as you ramp towards the end of the year is when all the news starts to slow down just a little bit. But you guys remember the yellow car drivers seem to be the carefree people? We talked about that in October, what all the different colors and everything meant if you were driving a car. Yeah. And it seemed to apply to us as we kind of looked at the cars we drove and the colors.
Yeah, because you thought my car was beige.
Well, it is beige. It's like a tannish beige is what it is. It still is. What color do you think your car is?
Brown.
It's not brown. Brown is brown. Your car, I'm going to post a picture of your car. Your car is not brown. Your car is like like a dirty sand beige tan color. It's
Well,
not
it is.
brown.
It is dirty,
Well,
but I mean,
that's
it's
not the dirt I'm talking about. If you guys remember, you drive green cars, you're more earthy than other people.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's one of those things. Like I said, October took us into some kind of crazy things. We talked about the National Highway Safety Board investigating reports of the Ford Fusion steering wheel that may be coming off cars. So if you remember that we talked about that, it was in October. Some of the national attention that some of the stories were getting. Uber was starting to change to extra fees if they had to drive longer to go get you.
Yep.
And that was one of the things. In November, we kind of went through, and like I said, you can see as we wound down, the news got less and less. In November, we were talking about the Porsche Hotel. You remember that? Mm-hmm. And did you get a Porsche with every room?
Yeah.
That would have been kind of awesome. We also talked about the electric car lovers, and if you hadn't heard all the different news going on with them, that they were actually trying to kill a lot of the different stuff, programs by big discounts. If like Uber and Lyft and all that, they went into battle with each other and they want to do electric cars and fight each other with all that kind of stuff. And we talked about that in November. We also talked about the 60 days of road rage. You remember that? We talked about it in November. So, which brings us to December. We talked about a lot of different stuff in December, and I wasn't going to recap it because we're still in December. So what I decided to do was carefully kind of take you through some of the things that the readers' letters and stuff that we got towards the end of the show, because, it's about another 10 minutes or so before the show's off. What was your favorite story of the year? Do you have one?
You're asking me my favorite story?
I know your memory doesn't work very well.
Boy, I would, I think that my favorite story would be about the colors and the personality, because I can't figure that. And like, if that were true, then every car you bought would be the same color because your personality's not changing.
How many different color cars you had? A bunch? Or do you tend to stay in the same neighborhood?
I've had quite a few white cars, but not by choice.
Just by the model you picked?
It was the model I picked, and it was a closeout or a clearance, and it was the only they had was white, so I took it. My favorite car color to actually own would be blue.
Like royal blue, dark blue?
Kind of in the medium, not too dark. If I see dark blue as black.
I started thinking about it, and I had neutral colors. Of all the cars I've had, I think I've only had a couple cars outside the box that weren't neutral colors. Most of my cars were like white, tan.
You never had
black,
a red car?
Gray. I had one car. I had a red Camaro, but I didn't keep it very long. But I had a red. But I had a red Camaro. I had a 1977 Z28 that was red.
Okay.
That didn't keep it very long. But I ended up making more money on that car by partying it out than I did selling it as a complete car. True story.
Really?
Yeah, I put it up for sale.
More for parts.
I put it up for sale, and I got some low ball offers over and over again on the car. I knew what the car had. I knew that people were starting to restore them. So I went ahead and put up on parts. And I made more money than what I asked for the car as a complete whole than I did when I parted out. I made more money. The first thing that went was the motor. Second thing went was the transmission. Then a guy came and wanted the doors. Some guy wanted the hood. Some guy wanted all the ground effect stuff that was on the car.
Did you have any parts left over, or did you?
I ended up having the carcass left. That's all I had. But I sold pretty much everything out of the car. and I think all in all, I think I ended up making like $700 more than I asked for the car in its complete entirety.
How long did it take for that from start to finish?
Only a couple months, actually. Only took me a couple months to part the car out. So it worked out to my advantage. And I've done that a couple different times. I've had a couple different cars that were running cars that were in the muscle car, kind of thing, that I ended up parting out and making more money for the car than I did. I parted out my Cutlass Supreme that I bought that had the 454 in it, and I made more money parting that off than I did selling the car complete.
I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah. It's funny how that works. I don't know.
But I would do it if I thought I'd make more money.
I think my favorite story of the year, looking back and stuff, was the horsepower. Just the change with muscle cars coming and all the different horsepower wars and everything else like that. I loved covering that all year. I loved talking about that. One of the biggest things I enjoyed this year is there was a lot of interaction from a lot of our readers. A lot of letters came in this year. We covered a lot of different reader letters. As I went back through all the stuff, so many listeners, it's funny where this show has started from. We're going, 3 years, and it's crazy. It doesn't seem like that, but it is.
That's what, in April, isn't it?
Yeah. So, with that being the case, it's absolutely just crazy to me how this show has progressed so much. And it's funny because when we got into this radio show, everybody, one of the very first things that was told to me when we went on the air was, where you are today will not be where you'll be 4 years from now. There's so many things in the way that you do your show and the way that things change in radio will change so much, and you won't even realize it's changing. And as I go back and I listen to the show and I listen to a lot of the telephone calls we've gotten from you guys and the letters we've gotten from you guys and gone through, it's very humbling over the course of 3 years. It just is. It's as you look at all the people that followed you, and we've had some really loyal listeners, and we have people that weigh in all the time. We have people that send us emails and texts and stuff, and it's been a good year. It's been a good looking back on the year and the years previous to that for me, and just seeing where we are and where we were. It's amazing to me. And one of the coolest things I came across to end the show with was the songs of the year. Do you remember?
No.
We covered the songs
I know
that you listened to in the car.
I know we did a show on
We
that.
did, and we let people pick them. And we did the top 100, if you remember, the top 100 cars of the year. Or songs of the year that people listen to in their cars.
I remember that.
So, I will take you through. Do you guys remember where what any of the songs were or where they fell?
No.
No? Okay.
I don't.
So the top 10, do you remember? Anybody guess what one of the top 10 songs was?
Back in Black.
That was one of the top 10 songs. Number 10 spot was Turn the Page by Bob Seger this year. You remember that was one of the, if you guys remember what I'm talking about, and if you're a new listener or you missed that show, we actually had a show where we let the listeners pick the top 100 songs that they like to listen to in the car when they're driving on road trips or just driving along. We compiled the list and we went through them bit by bit. And so it was Turn the Page by Bob Seger in the 10th spot. And the 9th spot was Flirting with Disaster by Molly Hatchet. I see you shaking your head.
I remember the song, but
I see you shaking. You're like, yeah, that's a good song. Number 8 spot was Copperhead Road by Steve Earle. The number 7 spot, which was an awesome song, We Built This City by Jefferson Starship.
Yeah, I always like that.
The number 6 spot was Thunderstruck, AC/DC. That's a good song.
Yeah.
I like that. So that song gets you going. The number 5th spot was Take It Easy by the Eagles.
That never was a big favorite of mine.
Really? You don't like that song? I like that song. I thought you're trying to loosen your load. It's okay.
It never was a big favorite. I mean, Life in the Fast Lane is more for me.
This one was one of the unbelievable ones that people couldn't remember. And a lot of people couldn't figure out how this made it. But this was a very, very highly requested song. And that came from some of the younger generation people who actually listened to this show. And it was California Love by Tupac. That was in the number 4th spot. I actually was shocked at that one, but that was one of the songs that Holloway did this, if you guys remember us. We let people post songs, and then other people would go out second that, and they kept on going, or they just take it and copy and paste and say, yeah, I'll take that one too. I think that's a good song. So Tupac made it to the number 4 spot. The number 3rd spot was I Can't Drive 55 by Sammy Hagar.
Yeah.
And I thought that fit very, very well into the 3rd spot. I really, really did. So the 2nd spot, anybody remember what that was? Actually, we went into the country area in this one.
I have no clue.
The name of the song was Cruise by Florida Georgia Line. It actually was put out in 2012, but they actually ended up hitting the number 2 spot. And the number 1 spot, anybody remember what that was?
No idea.
You said it earlier.
Oh,
Back in Black by
Yeah.
AC/DC, which just so happens to be this show's theme song.
I wonder why Born to Be Wild didn't make it. You know?
I think Born to Be Wild is somewhere in the list. Let's see if I can run down through it real quick and see if I can see it. It is in the top 40. Not that I see. I'll take a look here. Looking to see. No, I don't see it
Born to Be
anywhere.
Wild by Steppenwolf. That would have been back in my era.
Yeah, I don't see that anywhere on the list. If one of the things I see, like with the 50 spot, was "I Want to Be a Cowboy." That was number 99. I guess it's a good driving song. So that is our show. When we come back for our next show next Saturday, it'll be a whole new year, which will be completely awesome. I really want to thank everybody sincerely. Thank you for everybody listening to the show. I love the fact that everybody's been tuning in. I love all the letters. Keep sending them. Keep commenting. Like I said, join us on Facebook. Like it, comment, start following the page. It'd be awesome. We're going to leave you with the number one song that was picked this year for the best driving song. We are out of here. Spend some time with your kids on Sunday. It's right around the corner. They'll love you for it. Turn off the TV, play a board game, and we'll talk to you soon.